Usually you can start it whenever you need to.
I just said,
And by the way, I was really impressed, you already knew about the plumbing, which is really good.
yeah, I don't always, as you know.
Yeah, but this one, you're like right there. That's awesome.
Well, it was actually on the disclosure, so it was a cheat.
Is
Yeah.
Okay. Every little bit helps.
Yeah.
The neighbor came over and let me use their irrigation system, so every little bit helped.
Yeah.
The major things is what I want to talk to you about now, as far as like the major components, the things that cost a lot of money.
Okay.
Because I think that those are the things that people always have the questions about most. We spoke about the roof before. I really don't think there's any issues with it at all. It doesn't look like it's leaked recently. I really don't think it's leaked since they've done the 2007 roof. And it looks like they did a really decent job on the reshingle.
Good.
Which is good.
Okay.
Now, I want to skip to the air conditioning real quick, because we already talked about all the wind mitt and all that stuff. The air conditioning is kind of a pleasant surprise in a way. And the reason is that most homes that I do in 93, the people don't replace the ductwork, because there's a lot of ductwork that was questionable back then.
Okay.
Here, I think that's what they did. In 2008, has to be 08 or 07, because the outside unit is from 2007, and your furnace or your air handler is from 2008, the manufacturer's tag.
Okay.
Now, I wasn't able to find a permit, because I always look for one that helps me to know when it was installed. So I'm just going by manufacturer. So one says 2008, I'm going to guess they went in 2008.
Okay.
Looking at the ductwork, it looks really good. They've sealed the ducts at the boxes, which wasn't done in 93, so the ducts look fantastic. They even added a additional intake in the master bedroom to help with airflow.
Oh, great. Okay.
That was something that they should have done, and they did do.
Okay.
So that's pretty cool. So you got 10-year-old ductwork, 10-year-old AC system. I ran it in heat, and I ran it in cool temperature differential. And heat, I'm only saying this for your dad, was 18 degrees. The split was 76-58. Just a difference in the temperature in their house and what the unit's bringing back to us.
Okay.
I ran the gas furnace, and in a matter of maybe 7 or 8 minutes, I had air well over 100 degrees, so I shut it down quickly because this little guy over here, I didn't want him to get too warm.
Okay.
I opened it up. It looks pretty clean. Filter access is here.
Okay.
Okay, now since they're doing the filter here, one recommendation I would have, since they installed the intake, the additional one in the master bedroom, if you're going to filter it here, you should filter that intake too.
Okay. Okay.
All right, just so you know, to stop dust from getting in there.
Perfect.
So performance well, as far as life expectancy on a system that's about 10 years old, probably 3 to 5 at a minimum, I would think, and then you start to think about replacing versus repairing when you weigh each option.
Okay.
Okay. The electrical, we've mentioned briefly. The only thing that I have on the electrical is an overheating breaker for the condenser unit.
Okay.
I don't know why, it doesn't seem loose, but I took an infrared numerical scan first, and the temperature was around 140 something, and then my infrared camera showed it at 170 at its maximum. That's way higher than it ought to be. You can have a 20-degree differential between ambient temperature and operating temperature, which would be considered normal.
Okay.
But over that, you start to question why. And once you get that much over that, you know that it could be a bad breaker, maybe something going on in the bus bar.
Okay.
Something's not right there. So we'll have that listed in there. Other than that, electrically, you checked out pretty good. I did have a couple of question marks for the cellar, really, because I couldn't figure these out, and I'll feel really embarrassed if you know the answer, but you might. I couldn't get that ceiling fan or light on, and I'm thinking maybe it's a remote.
Okay.
That could be.
Oh, this living room one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, it was weird. We were playing with it when we came last time. It's like these buttons, these toggle buttons on the side. I don't know if you tried those or not.
I did, and I heard a noise, but nothing responded.
Yeah, like they flicker on and off. It's very weird. I don't know.
So it could be the switch that's the problem. I'm not sure, but I'll defer to the sellers for more
We'll have
info,
Fabian look at it, the electrician, whenever.
and it'll be listed in Fabian's list.
Okay.
And then there were some lights over here by the entertainment center, those 2 top ones. I couldn't figure out why they didn't go on either.
Okay.
So I'll have them on there too. It could be something simple like bulbs, but usually when it's 2 of them, it might be something on the circuit.
Okay.
All right, so here's what you have as far as electrical panels. In 93, you could have had different types of panels, but they went with Square D equipment. Square D is a good brand even today that's used. 150 amp service coming in. That's really good for 93, and I'll tell you why. Most homes built in 93 with natural gas service, where you have a natural gas water heater and a natural gas furnace, usually they'll take that 150 down to 1 or 125.
Oh, okay.
So they gave you the 150 service, which I thought was pretty good.
Okay.
And that might have been because it was Pulte. Pulte had a good reputation in the 90s, you know. The sub panel in the garage, I looked at, same thing. The wiring inside that panel was really good. And just for the record, so that your dad knows I was looking out for you too, I had to move a whole bunch of stuff in the garage to get to it.
Okay.
So I did. And then I took the panel cover off and I did the same infrared scan that I did out there.
Okay.
These temperatures were normal. Electrically, everything looked nice, neat, and clean. There was only one item in there that I have, and that is for the range. My guess is they might have had a gas range sometime when it was initially built,
Okay.
and then maybe someone installed the 220, because when they drop the line down, it's just not secured at the top. They usually secure it with some kind of a little, I forget what it's called, like a grommet, where the wire doesn't move.
Yeah.
Well, here the wire comes through the hole and goes down to the breaker, but it's open, there's nothing securing it.
Okay.
Probably never going to cause you a problem, but the only time I can think it might is if someone's walking around the attic and happens to get snagged on the wire
Oh, okay.
and pulls it, you would want it there. But that's about it. So that's the worst of our problems on the electrical.
Okay.
Plumbing, minor plumbing stuff. That bathroom over there, I got a leak under the sink at the sink drain.
Okay.
All right, and it really didn't leak until I filled the sink all the way up to the top and let it go down.
Okay.
So it took all that pressure, but it should be tightened up and worked on.
Okay.
Just to make sure it doesn't leak. Underneath the toilet in that same bathroom, the hardware's rusting.
Okay.
Usually, if it's rusting, it's going to start to leak at some point. You want to probably clean it up or maybe just put some new ones in there.
Okay.
It's not leaking now. The moisture, I'm going to say, probably is not plumbing related. It's probably from the sprinklers.
Okay.
Couldn't be rain.
Right.
We haven't had rain in a long time. So I'm going to say it's from the sprinklers. So that would be one of these things where you just have them adjust the head so that it's not hitting or coming close to the wall.
Okay.
Any questions so far?
So you said this used to be a gas range in here?
Well, it's my guess because usually when they add a range breaker, it was probably because it wasn't originally. And before we go, I can pull it out a little and we can check and see if you got a gas hookup behind there.
Okay. And this is natural gas, it's not propane? For...
Yeah, it looks like natural gas. There was nothing on there that says LPG or anything.
Okay.
So, which is pretty much a nice advantage because you can do just about anything. I don't remember if the dryer was gas or not. I gotta check. I think that was electric. Okay, the plumbing on the polybutylene, you already know about that. Do you need any more information from me on that? Are you good?
Just from research I've done online, I know it's not a good thing to have and it needs to be replaced, obviously.
It's the insurance companies that will probably dictate the replacement of it. The particular system that you have in here is one of the better ones.
Okay.
This is the one I believe that failed the least.
Okay.
The ones that failed the most had plastic fittings, and the second ones had copper crimps.
Okay.
This one was a unique one. This is very unique because there's a panel in the garage that allows you to control water flow throughout the house. There's not actually valves underneath the sinks like you're used to.
Right, okay.
Okay, so you'd go in there and you'd find the label for example, master bathroom sinks. And if you wanted to shut the water off, you'd shut it from there.
Oh, wow, interesting.
They still sell this type of system with a different material called polyethylene or PEX. So if you like it and your dad and you look at it and your mom and you decide that you want to keep this type of system, you can put one just like it in.
Okay.
Okay, it will be an option by whoever you call probably.
Great.
If not, then they'll just do a traditional install with either, I think you could probably do CPVC in here if you want it because it's all straight.
Okay.
But a lot of plumbers prefer the PEX. It's less money and it's more flexible.
Great. Okay.
I think that's pretty much about all that I have. The structural cracks that you see outside, just so you know, I can't tell you if they're going to become a problem ever. I'm so used to seeing cracks on buildings in Central Florida. They're on every house you look at, especially stucco homes. The one I would pay attention to the most out of all of them is the one in the back corner.
Okay.
There's one as you come around the back corner right by your AC that's on this south wall.
Okay.
That one has separated and it looks like they had repaired it and it's right at a corner and it looks like if it were to move more, you may want to get it looked at.
Okay.
Like by maybe a structural contractor just to make sure that they take their measurements and they feel you're still good.
Okay.
Right now, I'm not going to call it something to have a structural engineer look at. I'm going to recommend monitoring it maybe over the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years.
Okay.
Make sure it doesn't do anything else.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Just keep sealing it up meanwhile, right?
Yeah, for water penetration, you guys probably walked around the building. You can see all the open cracks on the building. You would want. Are you going to paint it? Do you know, or are you? What are you going to do?
We haven't planned to paint it, but maybe we haven't talked about that part yet. So.
Talk to you. Talk
I'm just
to your
gonna stop the
family.
video real quick
Sure.
because it won't upload.